Just let me know. All right. Looks like we are live. Apologies for the difficulty. We were waiting on some people to jump on. We're here now. We're going to start with our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're able to stand, would like to stand. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice
for all.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We have many individuals joining us via Zoom. Before we get started, I just want to do a quick roll call. So we have Councilwoman Kristen Brown.
Here.
We are live. Apologies for the Councilwoman Sherry Melick. We have Sherry Melick is going to be jumping shortly. She's not on quite yet. Councilwoman Cindy Voss.
I'm here, thank you.
We have Deputy Supervisor.
I'm here. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're just waiting on Councilman Melick. We have our clerk, Tara Stickles.
I'm here.
All right. And our town attorney, Will Frank.
Here.
All right. Sherry is saying, what's the code in? Is telling me that it's the wrong code. Hey, Cindy, can you text Sherry the code information again? Or is that something that you got from us?
It's the one we used to get in with tonight, right? I have it.
Yeah, there's an original phone number.
But the ID and the code is the same. I have it.
You have it?
I do.
Okay. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're waiting to get one of our council members on. She can join us. While we're waiting for Sherry, just want to start our meeting with a moment of silence. We had several community members that we've lost over the past several weeks. I'm just going to name 4 of these individuals right now. There's many more that we've lost, both related to COVID-19 and also unrelated, but we wanted to make sure to recognize them here at our regular work session and our public hearing this evening. We have 2 individuals who lived very long and full lives, who gave a great deal of service to the town of Montgomery. Marita Varwig of Maybrook, she was a retired deputy clerk here in the town of Montgomery. And Dolores Hayes, the mother of former town of Montgomery supervisor Mike Hayes. We also had pass on unexpectedly Ed Leonard, who was a former Village of Walden trustee and an incredible contributor to our community. Truly loves public service and loved helping people. And Rick Penny of Walden as well, past chief, past commissioner of the Walden Fire District, and retired lieutenant of the Orange County Sheriff's Department. We're going to have a moment of silence for those individuals and everyone that we've lost throughout this time, both related to COVID-19 and not. All right. Now to start our meeting off, thank you. I see Councilwoman Melick has joined us. Welcome, Councilwoman Melick.
I had an external speaker plugged into my iPad and it stopped it from working.
Okay, but you're on now. We're happy to
I'm
see
on
you.
now. I'm
All right.
sorry.
So we got roll call. We got perfect attendance now, and we're going to go forward with our first public hearing. This is our moratorium public hearing, and at this point, I'd like to ask a member of our board to entertain a motion to open our public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried. Our public hearing is now open as of 6:19 p.m. Thursday, 16th. And we're going to take some Zoom callers first. And this is my first time with a public hearing via Zoom. So we're going to just call one out, Billy, and we'll start there with whoever would like to make a comment as part of the official record of this public hearing on our moratorium law. Just call them out.
You better ask who has a question, right? Because we have.
No, we can call them, and if they don't have a comment, that's fine.
Okay, so we have phone number 845-800-7584.
Okay, phone number 800
7584.
7584. It's your opportunity to speak for this public hearing. If you're not interested in speaking, we can waive your time.
Brian, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Don Berger.
Hey, Don, you were just luck of the draw, number one. How do you like that?
How's that always happen, Brian?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just going to make a short comment. This local law establishing a 6-month moratorium, local law number 3, 2020. I understand it's taken many months to put something like this together. I'm a little, I would have hoped that it would have had more teeth to it. My concerns are moving forward. What is this moratorium really going to accomplish? We have a number of applicants before the planning board now. I'm not sure what projects fall under this moratorium and what projects do not. I don't know whether that could be explained to me at this time or not. I would have liked a more strengthened moratorium. The one that was earlier discussed, that would have established it under the FEIS. I would have been very happy with that. Unfortunately, that's not the direction you're taking. But again, I'm not sure where the teeth of this moratorium is. I'm not going to object to it because I guess at this point we need a moratorium. I don't think we could wait any longer. It's unfortunate for the residents. It's unfortunate for the town. I would have hoped there would have been more teeth. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Billy?
Larry
Larry Walensky, do you have a comment, Larry?
I'll reserve comments at this time and wait till the end of the queue if I need to.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
this thing is Larry reserved comment at this time. This would be an opportune time to note that the clerk has provided the town board and myself with 3 different correspondences. One is from Mr. Walensky's law firm. It is a letter dated April 15th, which my understanding is it's going to be entered as part of the official record.
Yes.
We also have a letter from Lerner Pavlik Realty dated April 15th. And we also have a letter dated April 16th from Galaxy Properties. Those are the correspondence that I'm aware of. My understanding, Mr. Supervisor, is that all of these letters will be entered as part of the record of these proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to add one more. Jerry Jacobowitz also on a personal note sent a piece of correspondence, and it's about 7 pages long and handwritten. And Tara, I'm going to hand it to you as part of the official record. He did ask me specifically to read the first portion of it, so I will. Gerald Jacobowitz transmitted to you is a 6-page handwritten opposition to the moratorium proposal as to which you will purport to hold a public hearing. Your official action is misdirected and ill-intended at this time because you will be contributing to the terrible economic conditions the pandemic has fostered upon your citizens by forces beyond their control. The moratorium is under your control, and therefore you should not add another level of economic hardship on your suffering citizens. Whatever you think you are doing can continue without a moratorium. Actually, no moratorium will have you act fast without the pain you are otherwise going to inflict. You know in your hearts that the moratorium will be no longer than you have represented to the public. I think we've represented actually that it has been. It's going to be longer. The forces that push you to consider this harsh policy will do all they can to delay the process and require you to extend the moratorium and thereby continue and exasperate the economic pain of this excessive exercise of government power. The lawsuits this action can foster can be drafted so that there is no insurance to pay for the town's defense. I'm sure you have or will get advice from your capable legal counsel, that's you, Will, as to the exposure of the town. Litigation is not favored and the alternate is desirable for all parties. A moratorium is not needed for that road to be traveled. Please be advised that this communication and the attachment are my personal views and are not representative of the views of anyone to whom I am related or connected or affiliated. If anyone believes I should be, I don't know what that word is, for expressing these arguments, that should be foisted only on me. I have been told that persons over 80 have the right to say whatever they want, so I invoke that ancient mantle of protection. I didn't know you were over 80 years old, Jerry. But that's a very long handwritten statement that I'm going to submit for the record in full, Tara. I'll get that to you, but he did personally ask me, since he would not be able to join us on any of the mediums, to at least have that first part written for the record. Billy, what's next?
So we have another number of 845-427-1216.
845-427
1216.
1216. It is your time to speak.
Brian, it's me, the Butch, the chief of police. I don't know how that happened, but I'm on here.
All right.
Okay.
No worries.
But
I assume you don't
all right,
want to talk
buddy.
about comments. All right. What's next, Billy?
742-4536.
742-4536. You're up.
Yes, Shariza Hawkins, resident of Montgomery. Good evening, Supervisor. I hope all's well.
Absolutely.
Very good. My statement is the following, that I do believe that a moratorium is definitely necessary so that we can get everything together in order to forge forward in a productive and a qualitative manner, assessing the needs of the town, evaluating the lands which are being consumed by warehouse use. As you know, I spoke of this before about the land disappearing as far as the industrial levels to be used for other uses and tax bases. No one should put anything all in one category for diversification. I think it's very important for us to be more encompassing in this and not just being limited. I do understand what Mr. Berger said as far as the need to move forward and not to hold this up. I do feel it very weak, though, and not a very strong moratorium, and that it basically addresses very little of what's going on in this town and its consumption. We actually should move the mark to a more stronger moratorium at a different location and not just on the DEIS being separate to the FEIS. I understand there's pushback and there is concern, but nobody says the construction will not go forward in our time and maybe perhaps done in a better way. I also believe that people can sue because they're going to sue anyway. That's what's told by the previous supervisor. So we can't live in fear. We do have to work together for a better community and a solid standing. And I don't think the moratorium is a threat right now, as yes, we're definitely in a pandemic and it's a very terrible time. Obviously, even the way we're having these meetings is an indicator of that. However, the fact of the matter is we do need to do this. We do need it to be all encompassing. And I think that what is going to come down the line is still a year or two out to be completed. So those financial effects aren't going to be felt for a while yet. And I thank you for your time and please stay well.
Thank you, Cherie. Appreciate your comments.
Mr. Supervisor,
Thank you.
Yes, Will.
just in the interest of everyone's privacy, to the extent that we can keep it, perhaps you can just read the last four numbers of the person's phone number, please?
Absolutely. Do we have another phone number, Billy? We're just going to do the last four.
0010.
Phone number, last four, 0010. You're up. Okay, we'll move on to the and if that person is on and just can't get through, you can call or text the number that's on the notice if you're having an issue with the connection.
Beverly Mertz.
Beverly Mertz, you're on.
Hey, I got kicked off. It's a good thing I'm back on.
All right.
We do need a moratorium, yes. We need something that is has a little more bite to it. But before I go any further, was there an answer to the planning board's question about each one warehouse per lot?
I'll let Will speak to that. Actually, I know that we did address the planning board's concerns. Will, in the matter of just being able to answer the question in case others have it on their mind, can you speak to that comment from the planning board?
Yeah, I asked Ms. Mertz to repeat the question. I didn't hear it.
Sure.
The planning board only wanted one warehouse per lot.
Correct.
Has that been addressed?
Yes, it has. I'll read you that section. One of the specific exemptions now, section 5B. Any proposed warehouse or distribution center having a maximum cumulative gross area of 40,000 square feet and no more than 3 truck docks per parcel. A single parcel shall not be subdivided to create independent lots for the purpose of proposing more than one 40,000 square foot warehouse and or distribution center. So the question,
Okay.
the issue of the planning board was addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Beverly.
Yeah, I have heard the other comments, so I don't feel like I might be repeating other things because I got kicked off, so, but yes. It needs to have more bite, but we'll take what we can get.
Thank you, Beverly. Billy, who's next?
Brian Siegel.
Brian Sekel, you're up.
Good evening. By way of introduction, my name is Brian Sekel. I'm with a company called National Realty and Development. We're the contract holders for a piece of property known as 134 Neelytown Road. We're looking to develop a 312,000 square foot building on the property. It's properly zoned. We seek no variances, no waivers. We have identified an end user for the property, and I'm going to start by repeating what Mr. Berger said last night, that at the planning board meeting in the same similar forum, that any public matters of such magnitude should not be entered into during the current economic and pandemic during the time of this pandemic. If you were to act, it would be detrimental to both the town and the community. If you were to seek to propose a moratorium, I suggest that you put this off for at least 6 months until such time as the economy has a chance to recover. The people who work and live in the community can reassess the needs. You can address a new master plan without having a moratorium in effect. So my thoughts are with the residents of the town, but placing a moratorium on any such activity at this time is unwarranted. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Much appreciated. Billy? Charles Bazzillo. Before we get to Charles, for those that are joining us via the conference line, we are going to get to you guys. So be patient if you can. We're going to get through our Zoom calls, and then we'll address all the comments that have called into this conference line. Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, just for 1 second, I've been informed that your Facebook feed is frozen.
Facebook feed is frozen.
That's
Well,
what-
actually, stream, and there's a second one that's up now.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
is ours.
there's a second stream up now. So the first, it looks like internet connection here.
Yeah.
I just think the technology is affording for access for this meeting.
Yeah, no, it's a technical difficulty. It's internet access. I can't control that. We're making every attempt here, and it's back up now, correct?
I'm
Yes.
well aware of that, but I think that this forum, it just hasn't been perfected to have a forum for discussion on such an important matter. Really needs an in-person situation as opposed to this forum, which hasn't been perfected.
No, yeah, we're perfecting it as we go. Appreciate your comments.
I
Brian,
don't.
it wasn't frozen that long. I see
Okay.
it too, but now we're back up. Thank you, Billy.
Okay.
So the entire version will be available after.
Yeah, understood, Billy. What Billy is trying to say also is that the entire version will be available after, but in real time, certainly these aren't ideal conditions. None of us agree with that. None of us like that we're doing it this way, but it was important enough for the board to move this process along, so we are. And who's next, Billy?
Bonnie Van Olsen.
Oh, Charlie Bazillo. Charlie, did you have a comment?
I sure did. I thought you were going to skip over me for a second there. Okay, hold on. Okay. I felt slighted for a second. Okay. Anyway, I want to first talk about it from a different point of view, and that's more from the process we're going through right now. I think Mr. Seckel, who is my client, he brought up a couple issues, but let me focus a little more in. I'm more concerned about that we've gone into this process of the online public hearing, and I commend the town's efforts for doing that. But I think you have to strongly consider that this shouldn't be your first and only public input about the local law as you've written it right now. I think you need to strongly consider keeping the public comment period open, perhaps to at least your next regular meeting, whenever that may be, so that you could have the public catch up to what's going on here tonight. I've heard, first off, there was the issue about the notice. The April 6th notice had a call-in number on it that I don't believe is active anymore. And then, to your credit, you did set up the Zoom meeting and put a notice up about that this morning. But I only became aware of that this morning when it was posted on the the town's Facebook page. So, you have those couple issues about it. I'm not sure whether all the public that wants to comment is actually here commenting at this meeting. So one of the suggestions I would have is that you keep it open, maybe to the next town board meeting. I did hear you mention that the Facebook feed is going to be posted so people could see that. That would allow the public to catch up and then maybe come in at the next section, either through a written comment or perhaps participating again. And then you could be sure that you've actually gotten a good feedback from the public about, the pros and cons of the moratorium law.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate your comments.
Okay.
Billy?
Bonnie Van Olsen.
Bonnie Van Olsen.
Hi there. I have no comments at this time, just listening
Okay.
in.
Thank you. E. Thomas Capello? Could that be John Capello?
Yeah, that's me, John Capello, on my wife's computer. I don't have any comments right at this moment. I'm going to wait to hear everybody and may speak.
Okay. Thanks, John. No problem.
Jane Samuelson.
Jane Samuelson.
I'm gonna pass right now also.
Okay. Thank you, Jane.
John C.
John C. John C. That's not John Capello again, is it?
Yeah, I don't know how my name switched from E. Thomas Capello. I didn't do anything except mute it again, so.
Okay.
You don't get two chances, John. You don't get two
Yeah,
chances.
that's a good trick if I could figure out how it worked.
Robert Sharik.
Robert Sharik. Robert Sharik.
Thank you. I just was fumbling around trying to unmute myself here. So no comments at this time. I'd like to listen to what other people say and reserve the right to address you later.
Thank you. Karina Tipton.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Karina Tipton, Village of Montgomery. I'm here to ask you to please move forward and pass this moratorium law. As we all know, the reasons for the moratorium are important. The Comprehensive Plan Committee is moving forward now to redo our exceptionally old and well outdated plan. And I'm proud to be seated on that committee. We have an opportunity to review our current approved projects. And I want to note that includes approved projects that have been constructed and approved projects which have not been constructed and which have been asking the planning board for extensions, in some cases for a number of years, almost decades. The reason why we would approve those projects is to see what is being constructed in Montgomery. I'm not saying that those projects are not going to move forward, but it's important to know what we already have constructed, and it's important to know what land is left that hasn't had an approved project signed up for it already. There's a lot of land in Montgomery that you can't tell what's going to be built on it because it's got a project that's been approved some time ago that's just sort of hanging out. It hasn't been constructed yet. So it's impossible for us to tell just driving around and looking at the town exactly what we've signed up for in our community right now. That process is very important. And it's important that we have a moratorium to support us on the Comprehensive Plan Committee as we move forward. I'm not speaking for the entire committee. I'm just speaking for myself. But I think that's an important tool for us. We don't only need to review what land use that's in place, but also the intersections of different zoning. There's been a lot of changes since that first comprehensive plan was put together. And we also need to review the limitations of our infrastructure and what limitations that's currently imposing on the town. Is it not just the water and sewer that we talk about a lot, but also telecommunications? And that's a limitation that's coming up right now for many of us as we are working from home. We've seen an overwhelming number of projects entered into the planning board's queue even before the New York State on pause policy was implemented, but it did happen as soon as this moratorium came up. And while there are a lot of concerns about the economics of our town, especially with this current pause, and while our community has been staying at home to protect each other and to protect our emergency responders and our health workers, in this period of economic uncertainty, it feels almost unwise to entertain the construction of more speculative warehouses. I get it. I'm in the industry as well, the engineering industry, and those of us who work with private industry want to continue to keep our project pipelines flowing so we can keep our staff busy too. But it needs to be noted that there's no construction right now. So while it's unfortunate that some of these projects may need to pause, there's a backdoor built into this moratorium law that they could pursue if they do need to be built right away. And it's important to keep in mind that there isn't a rush right now because nobody's doing anything right now. So this is the perfect time to kick off a moratorium. At the same time, I also note that I do agree with many others who have spoken that this moratorium law is severely limited, and I would request that the town board, after you enact this moratorium law, I would request that you move forward with an even stronger moratorium amendment that addresses the many other developments that are currently speculative and that are not captured in this law. I would encourage the town board to also follow up with the planning board and to discuss the many projects that have been approved but not yet constructed, and to determine if some of those long-standing project approvals should continue to be extended every year just pro forma as a matter of course, just a matter of doing business in Montgomery. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Karina. Very good points. Certainly something to consider. Andrew Xiphone. Andrew Xiphone, are you there?
I'm sorry. I just tuned in. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that that I was going in there like that. I just no. Go ahead, guys. I'm just listening.
No worries. Thank you very much. Welcome.
I would do a double check, but I think we got everything.
Anyone else on the Zoom that would like an opportunity to speak?
Not sure if anybody else is having computer issues, but my Facebook is frozen again.
Okay, I'm going to try to take some callers on the conference line. Anyone on the conference like to make a comment for the public? Do we have anyone on the conference call line? Okay, and what is your name? Oh. Looks like somehow that was disconnected.
To reservation conferencing, enter your conference code.
Billy, can you bring up that that code again? Yeah. Hold on a second. That didn't work. 1 second, everybody. Just having a technical difficulty here. What's the 4-digit? Sorry about that. Okay, we're back on. Anyone on the conference line who has a question? All right. Anyone on the Zoom call who has a question? Another comment? I mean. All right, I'm going to go to our text messages. Please call. Okay. All right, someone just joined us via conference call. Do you have a public hearing?
Hello?
Hi, can you state
This is Nina Snyder.
Hi, Nina. Do you have a comment for the public hearing for the moratorium law?
I do.
Okay, you're on.
Start off, hello.
No worries.
And to tell you that I've been trying for quite a while to watch what's going on and to call in, and there's been so many freezing and snafus. But anyway, am I on?
Yes, you're on. We can hear you. The whole board can hear you. You're live.
Okay, good. I just wanted you to know that for 15 months I have been pushing for a moratorium, and I am very disappointed that this one seems a little bit weak compared to what we had anticipated. I'm looking at this through the lens of someone who lives in the town of Montgomery, and I hear a lot of people that are applicants and attorneys for applicants and pro-building, but I really care about the community and the type of community I live in, and I've watched one after another warehouse getting built, and I'm just really, really upset about it. And I just want to comment and add on that it's a little bit late. I wish this could have happened a long time ago. I was very discouraged after last night's planning board meeting. I know one applicant was present and spoke at length of all, and I have to say it was Medline, of all the wonderful things they've done to the community, and it is very much appreciated, but it just felt odd in a meeting like that to be, saying all the different things that they had done. It feels beholden, and I just felt weird about that. And I also wanted to say that I was really disheartened because Cherie had done some wonderful research regarding zoning and loading docks facing the road, and it was just acknowledged, but no comments about any of that thorough research. So anyway, in closing, I just want to say that I support a moratorium. I wished it could have happened months and months and months ago, and that I'm still very disappointed because the kind of community I want to live in is not warehouse after warehouse, and now this new one possibly coming right on the tail, right on the village next to the village line. I just feel like it takes away from the place I would like to live. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment, Nina. Is there anyone else on the conference line who has a comment? Okay, we have a text message comment, very much having to do with having an issue getting online. This is Jack Baker. After spending a significant amount of time figuring out how to make a public comment in regards to this proposed moratorium and unsuccessfully trying to help other people make comments, I believe it'd be irresponsible for the town board to allow this meeting to occur. Given the current conditions everyone is dealing with and people being focused on staying healthy and getting food during this crisis, the town will not be able to properly hear from its own community in the way it should. By not postponing this hearing tonight, it would clearly show that the town board does not have an interest in hearing all of the comments from its community and thus feels they have the legal right to institute a moratorium on their board without proper comment from the public. Additionally, as shown through the town planning board meeting last night, they postponed the public comment section for both projects that were heard. Not quite sure that's accurate. Due to the technical difficulties of having the meeting by live stream. Until a proper method of streaming and allowing comments to be made by the public is instituted, this meeting should not be taking place. By not postponing a public hearing tonight and instituting a moratorium after all of the difficulties that were faced by residents in making comments last night and tonight would be an irresponsible action by the town. Fred Mertz has a comment. Why let any construction go on with this pandemic going on? So why not push the moratorium to enforce this executive order from the governor? Text message from Joe Distelberger. He wants to be on the record that at this time of economic distress, when the government is pumping trillions into the economy to try and keep us from a depression, we should not be discouraging businesses that are desperately needed. Respectfully submitted. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. All right. Anyone else on the conference line? Those are our conference calls and text messages. Anyone else on the conference line? All right, I'm going to leave that open for a minute. Anyone else on the Zoom who has not spoken yet that would like to make as part of the official public hearing?
Yes, Jane Samuelson.
Hey, Jane, go ahead.
I just wanted to make the point that I know our master plan says that it was written in 1988, but it was actually updated in March of 2010, which really isn't that long ago when you're looking at a comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plans only get updated once every 10 years. So actually this plan isn't that old, as everybody likes to say it is. So that's my only comment.
So I think you're referring to the zoning changes that were made as part of the 2003 comp plan process. Is that correct, Jane?
I'm talking about the amendments that were made to the master plan in 2010.
We might just be talking past each other, but I don't think the amendments were made to the master plan. I think they were just zoning changes based on the 2003 discussions. That's, I believe, I think we're saying kind of the same thing, that there was an update 10 years ago, which I
believe it's called Chapter X. I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to talk over top of you, but
no,
you're
it's
right.
okay.
It's called I believe it's Chapter X that was added to the 1988 plan. And that was updated in 2010, but that was not the whole plan updated. That was just an amendment to the existing plan.
I think that was the point I was trying to get at. Thank you, Kristen. But Jane, point heard, point taken. There were updates made in 2010, which was 10 years ago, not 1988, which obviously is a big difference. Any other comments from the Zoom? Anyone else who deferred who would like to make their comments? I'm not.
This is John C. Just like to, there's just a couple of things I heard to clarify. And number one, I am one of the attorneys representing Medline. I not only live in the village of Walden for the last 20 plus years, I'm also a business owner with a business in the town of Montgomery and village of Walden that employs people in the town of Montgomery and village of Walden. So we're very proud to be representing Medline. And just to clarify a couple things, one of the things that has been said is that no construction can occur. That is generally clear. That doesn't mean that the governor's order does not want the process to go forward. And for jobs, and especially construction jobs, to be available when we do come out of this thing, because Unfortunately, the landscape has changed since when you originally were considering this moratorium. We now have skyrocketing unemployment, and a lot of these jobs are not going to come back any day soon. So the quicker we have approvals in process in jobs available, that is very important to spur the economy. The other thing that has been said, numerous times regarding construction is on essential businesses. Now, you have an application before you. I could not think of any application that is better for this time and more suited than the Medline application. They are at the front line right now of supplying medical supplies to battle this and bring us out of this crisis. This facility could be up, and if we all think that this is going to be the last crisis, or we're not going to be needing medical supplies and needing to address issues like this going forward, we're living in a new reality. And Montgomery, frankly, is blessed to have this application at this time. I know there's concern about people about the size. It is a big facility, but it will provide a vital, cog in our supply chain to be able to help address this. It will be jobs that will be available in construction as we come out of this. It will be jobs available for some of those people who have lost their jobs to now have well-paying jobs in a growing recession-proof type of facility, while many of these other types of development cannot say that. That's why I think it is a great provision of this moratorium that those projects that have been going through, and Medline has been in this process for 18 months. This is not a rush. Anybody who has looked at any of the 4 public hearings that have occurred on the site plan to date, in addition to the public hearing on the environmental impact statement and the comments received, will note that every light bulb in this development has actually been looked at, and we're still looking at it. Every piece of riprap going down there has been looked at it. We've had comments from engineers from involved agencies. So I just wanted to clarify that record. I think, what you're doing, everybody has their opinion on the moratorium, and I understand the need to address a comprehensive plan. And hopefully that comprehensive plan will not just be a method to stop what people don't want. It will be a process to encourage what can help us bring out of this and be a better community. So very much.
Thank you for your comments, Sean. Much appreciated. Anyone else on the Zoom who would like to make a comment?
Well, Brian, if you'll let me go again, I'll just go back to the point I was making before, and I think you see the proof of it here now that people have texted in, people have been calling in, they've brought up the point that they haven't been able to get in, so we don't really know how many other people might be out there who wanted to comment, pro or against it, and I think it just behooves the board to think about keeping the comment period open. So that you make sure you get all the a proper amount of comment in, and give everyone the proper opportunity to comment on the law.
Thank you, Charlie. We don't have anyone else on our conference line. We don't have any other text messages that have new comments. Is there anyone else on the Zoom who would like to make a comment for the public hearing? Okay. Let's have a discussion as a board on whether or not we're going to close this public hearing or keep it open for a period of time to hear more comment. I think obviously there were some technical difficulties, but we have been talking about this for several months. There were several avenues to make a comment, whether it was getting it done beforehand, whether it was being on the Zoom, calling into our conference line, or sending a text message in. I know that there were a good amount of feedback leading up to this. The law was available for quite some time now. I personally am of the opinion that the type of comments that we've received that have been substantive, we've heard them. Those changes that we've made on several occasions to our law to make it better, we've done, certainly from our planning board as well as from the residents. And because of the timing of our comprehensive plan, it would still be my position to move forward, close the public hearing tonight, and adopt this law. But I would love to hear from the rest of the board to get your opinion on what you think about that.
I just have a quick question. There was a comment, I believe Will said it, about the letters that were sent to the board members.
Yes.
I did review 2 of the 3, but I'm missing the letter from Larry Walensky, a letter dated April 15th. I cannot seem to find that on my email. If somebody can resend that specific letter to me.
Sure thing. That's strange. Will, can you send that to Kristen?
And also, is there a letter from, you read Jerry Jacobowitz? Are you gonna send, can you forward that on to us also?
I certainly can. It was hand delivered, so I don't have that digitally, but I can scan it and get it to you guys.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
I'll send Mr. Walensky's letter to the board again. The only other thing I wanted to add is, as I've previously noted to the board, we did receive a response from the Orange County Department of Planning, letter dated March 23rd, 2020, where they find that the proposed moratorium is a local determination, and they also advise that moratoriums at best are short-term solutions, and they should be in shorter duration as necessary. And the planning department stands ready to assist the town while they're going through the process, should the moratorium be adopted.
Okay. So we got the planning board from the town feedback. We got the Orange County planning feedback. I firmly believe we've gotten a ton of feedback from our community, whether they're participating in this public hearing or they've made their comments known throughout the process. My position kind of stands the same way. I think we should go forward with this and get it done so that our comprehensive plan can move forward. But would still love to hear from the entire board on that one, on what you guys think.
Brian, I support all of the comments you just made. I agree with you. We've been talking about this a long time. We've heard all the comments. I don't think we heard anything new or different tonight. So I totally agree with you.
Sherry?
Well, I don't know. I kind of was on the lines of maybe we should postpone it for one more meeting and see if, I mean, I highly doubt our next meeting is going to be a regular meeting because the governor just shut us down till the 15th of May.
Sure.
But I mean, I do think that's, some of the people have a good point that, you know, because of the way it is, maybe we should give it one more shot, one more, and definitely take more written comments,
There's definitely been an avenue for that. We've received written, and certainly individuals have the ability to do that. But thank you, Sherry. I got your position. Ron, what do you... Sorry, relax.
Go ahead. Are you waiting for me or for Kristen?
Whichever. Ladies first. Go ahead, Kristen.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to jump in there.
No, that's fine. No
I was
problem.
just gonna say, like, what about closing the public hearing, but saying that we're gonna accept written comments for the next 10 days? Just as if the issues of people getting through, we could still accept the public comments for the next 10 days, written only, and move forward with this.
Yeah, it's certainly an option, Will, right?
What I would suggest is, seeing as the current situation we're living in, the governor has allowed his executive order to amend the open meetings law. What would be a viable option is, here we are, it's Thursday. People do have access to letter writing and emails. If we kept the public comment period open for, say, till next Wednesday or Thursday, the board could get those comments, have a special meeting. We don't have to wait till the next town board meeting that's scheduled. Could have a special meeting by conference call to either adopt or not adopt the moratorium law at the end of next week. That's an option.
Could we also, as Councilman Brown said, keep the written public open for a period of days, but still take action this evening, move the process forward?
Well, no. I mean, if you're going to wait for a written comment, you
can't make a decision.
You're going to wait till the record is complete.
Yeah.
Keep the public hearing open for written comment only through, say, next Wednesday, the 22nd, or the Thursday, the 23rd, have time to review it and make sure the board gets copies of everything. Most people communicate by email. Any regular mail can be forwarded to people, scanned and forwarded, and potentially have a conference call either next Thursday or Friday for the sole purpose of acting one way or the other on the moratorium law. So you would keep the public hearing open, but for written comment only. That would be the option that Councilwoman Brown is suggesting, and I think Councilwoman Melick in some form as well.
Okay, Ron, what do you think, Ron?
Well, I hear both sides of this. I'm not sure what good it would do to keep the public hearing open. We're going to decide if there is going to be a moratorium, and what's the other option? No, we don't want to have a moratorium. So if we're going to have a moratorium, or are we going to change the contents of the moratorium? I think you did a good job of getting a lot of responses tonight. To keep it open for one more meeting, I don't have a problem with that, but I really don't want to drag it along, you know. So I'm a little mixed on it, to tell you the truth. You want to keep it open for comments, for written comments for 10 more days, I can buy into that.
I like Will's idea.
Okay, so if we keep the public hearing open and request written comments for the next, let's call it, since it's Thursday, 6 days, we'll end it for Wednesday, and then what, call a special meeting for the purpose of finalizing this process? Is that what you're suggesting, Will?
Suggesting keep the public hearing open. You want to do 6 days till Wednesday, the 22nd. For submission of all written comments, public hearing will be closed by noon on the 22nd. And then the board can evaluate those comments that are submitted, have a special meeting via telephone or Zoom either next Thursday or Friday, the 23rd or 24th, and take action on the law.
So our motion would close the public hearing as of noon next Wednesday, taking in written comments only, and we would call a special teleconference or Zoom meeting Thursday to adopt the close the hearing and adopt local law.
The hearing will be closed as of Wednesday at noon.
Right.
So, yes, that would be the action of the board this evening.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, motion carried. That leads us forward to our next order of business. We are going to adjourn the water sewer public hearing. We're going to take action, keep this open. I've talked to a few of you about a date. I would like to do this separate from our next meeting, which is going to be May 7th. So the date I would like to keep this public hearing open to would be Tuesday, April 28th at 6 p.m. Would anyone like to make that motion?
Public
Tuesday,
hearing on April 28th.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's-
Tuesday,
that's
April
a
28th
Tuesday.
at 6 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Well, are we doing a special meeting? We don't have a meeting
Yeah, that
on
was,
the 28th.
thank you.
Yes, this will
Yeah,
be a
that's
special
what he
meeting.
said.
That's what I'm,
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you,
Okay,
Cindy.
so-
I was confused too.
I'm sorry, I wasn't dragging my feet. I just was trying to figure out the calendar. So a special meeting on 4/28 to do the Medline public hearing.
Yes,
To
separate from
continue.
our scheduled meeting. I'd like to.
Are we
separate-
gonna
Why
do
don't
it? I'm sorry, Ron, are we gonna do it the
Uh,
same way we're doing it tonight? With all these options?
Yes, it will be done the same way we're conducting this public hearing this evening, because we will likely still be shut down till May 15th as per the governor. So we will prepare and perfect the process as much as possible. And I just would prefer to have the public hearing on a separate meeting date than our regular meeting and everything up together. So that, and I'd like to get it done. Do we have?
Can we finalize the moratorium on the same night, April 28th?
That
Yeah,
would
that's-
extend it out
that's-
an extra week. So I'd prefer to do that. Both things, the moratorium call should be quick. So I think these are just going to be two separate issues.
Okay. Mm,
Would anyone like to second that motion?
I will.
Wait, can I
Okay,
just
all in
ask
favor?
what time? I'll second it, but what time? I'm seconding or
6
firsting it.
p.m.
but-
6 p.m., Cindy.
6, okay.
Okay.
6.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes, sir.
can you please, for purposes of the moratorium written comment submissions, can you please provide everyone listening, and we'll put this back on the website, with the clerk's email address or your email address or both, plus the mailing address for town hall?
Sure. So the email address for written comments is going to be tstickles, TSTICKLES @townofmontgomery.com. We will be sure to comment on the live feed, and we will get this information out. And written comments can be mailed to Town Hall at 110 Bracken Road, Montgomery, New York, 12549.
To the attention of the clerk.
To the attention of our town clerk, Tara Stickles.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will. All right, it is past 7 o'clock, so we are good to go to our regularly scheduled town board work session. We are going to start with our coronavirus update. So obviously we got word that today, while I was with Councilman Brown going over some details for the meeting tonight, looks like we are going to be in this new reality until May 15th. We're not quite sure exactly what that will mean, but we're certainly going to prepare and protect our residents and serve our residents in our community and our businesses as much as possible. We have been keeping track of all of our expenses. The town has put several orders of masks in, and I want to thank Will Frank, our town attorney, for getting us one of those avenues. We have masks to support what who are here. You may also know that there was another executive order that took effect as of yesterday at 8 p.m., where if individuals are in a location or in a position where they cannot social distance, whether it's at work or whether it's at the grocery store or the gas station, wherever they're going, they are now mandated to cover their face. So obviously I don't have my face covered because I'm able to social distance at the moment. We have very limited individuals here at Town Hall, but because of that, residents need access to masks. So we're working with our Town of Montgomery community response team, and we've done what we could at Town Hall to make sure we have the resources to support our own employees who are working, and we are abiding by that policy here. But it is going to be challenging for the rest of our community to do so. So I've instructed our community response team, or worked collaboratively with our community response team, to take in requests from our community. So if individuals need masks, or if individuals are willing and able to make masks, we are going to begin a campaign to help each of those businesses and members of our community who need some assistance there, hopefully can get that assistance. That's a big undertaking, but during these times, we're just doing everything we can to maximize our support and the resources we're providing to our community. So if you guys have any questions, I know that you know about the community response team that's been established. We're in constant communication with local faith-based service organizations, the Valley Central School District, our local 3 mayors. Through an emergency services committee, we've been in touch with our ambulance corps, our 4 fire districts, our fire chief, our battalion leader. We've really been staying in constant communication with all of our emergency service and our service organizations to ensure that everyone's needs are met, and that we're working collaboratively to fill everybody's needs and to work together as a team. I've been very proud of the work that we've done in the community, and certainly proud of our town employees who are continuing to provide essential services for the town. Tara, your office at the clerk's office, our courts, our assessor's office still has deadlines they have to meet. None of those deadlines have really changed except for 1 or 2. So they've been working really hard. And obviously, you cannot forget our building department, our planning department, and certainly our first responders in our police department, who have done a heck of a job. And we're going to get to that in one of our next items on the agenda. And our DPW for being on call. Sean Mears has done also a tremendous job keeping things active and making sure that our needs are met when an issue comes up. Does anybody have any questions in response to COVID-19, aside from what we're going to talk about for our policy on our new business? Okay, we're gonna move on to our town highway garage RFP discussion. Is Sean on the call or not? I don't think he needs to be, but I was just checking to see if he's there. No, okay. So we have had a lot of different requests put in. The bids were, the opening occurred. And we definitely need to make a decision as a board on what we want to do with both our highway garage RFPs and our town engineering. My preference would be for today, but I'm still pretty much there, is to wait about a month to see if we can have an actual in-person meeting. We're looking at potentially spending a decent amount of resources and making sure that a thorough individual or firm is selected is really important. And there's nothing that beats face-to-face. So I really, if we can, which I think we can, wait at least another month or two before we conduct these in-person interviews, and hopefully we'll be in a position to do so, and some of these regulations will be lifted. So that's my 2 cents, but would like to hear from the board.
I agree with you, Brian. I think
Totally.
I agree with you too, Brian.
Yep.
I'd love to walk those projects next month with the potential, candidates.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Sean Mears is on the same boat. If these things were something we needed to do tomorrow, obviously we would potentially make an exception, but things are rolling around well with our current consultants, and we're not missing a beat at the moment. So I think it's okay to let this go for at least a month, and we'll reevaluate it then. Hopefully after May 15th, we'll have some knowledge of when we'll be able to return to some semblance of normalcy in terms of conducting our meetings. Okay, you've seen the audit. We have a request from the Montgomery Ambulance Corps. We did budget $100,000 in the budget this year. The initial allocation as of February 2020 was $40,468.89. We have been given all of the hard copy invoices and the bank statement for the Ambulance Corps for their new request, which is $32,038.92. And that includes 9 invoices for medical supplies totaling $2,903.80, 2 invoices for medical insurance for paid staff of $11,732.56. Their billing company for their payroll at $3,837.33. ALS services provided by Mobile Life Services for $4,745. 2 fuel invoices, which we hope to eliminate moving forward through some working together. That totals $1,630.79. New communication system per county mandate. Motorola bill, $3,646.08. Workers' comp for volunteers, $1,210.03, and workers' comp for paid staff, $2,333.33. Again, totaling $32,038.92. Before we get into comment, just want to let everyone know our task force has been meeting regularly. Councilwoman Melick has been on that, and we've been making some really great progress. So while we do trickle close, over the next couple of months, we'll get close to that 100,000 mark we set in our budget. It is my commitment to you, and also with Councilwoman Melick, that we will have at least the beginning portion of a long-term plan, long-term solution to support our Town of Montgomery Ambulance Corps prior to making our next request from the Town of Montgomery Ambulance Corps. So we will work on that. We've continued to have meetings. We will continue to meet via teleconference with our task force to talk about that long-term solution. And we're getting there. I don't want to speak too much in detail about it because it's been very internal, our discussions, and there's a lot of different legwork that needs to be done still. But we have identified some real potential possibilities that will help make sure we don't have the same situation year after year where our ambulance corps is in the position that they're in. So we've been working well together. I would ask for your support for this allocation in something that's already approved in our budget. And moving forward, if another ask comes to the board, my promise to you will be we will have more of a long-term solution planned as we suggested we would towards the summer.
So Brian, you and I talked about this today, but just so that way the other board members know, it was interesting that the insurance company actually sent me a check for the amount that the ambulance had billed them minus a deductible. But they actually sent me a check, and then I have to turn around and mail a check to the ambulance department. So I wish that there was a way that the insurance would just mail it right to the ambulance and keep me out of the middle of it, but it is what it is. So
Yes, Councilman Melick and I brought that up with them, and what we've asked them to do is to quantify. This is just one of our many solutions trying to help them out. Try to quantify and try to figure out how often that happens, how much revenue they're losing out annually, and potentially partner with the town to help make them whole. And legally, there's some stuff we need to get through there, but it's certainly something that's up for discussion because at the state level, that law isn't changing anytime soon. And it doesn't just affect the ambulance corps. That's something that affects a lot of different businesses that are insured with different companies that actually get it, whether it's a dentist or other companies. That's something that the state has really not fixed in for many years. So we'll hopefully come up with a solution. But to your point, Kristen, it's another one of many things that affects their bottom line and creates this shortfall that we have to help out with.
So I'll make that motion to give them the $32,038.92.
Okay.
I'll second
Second
that.
it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried. Thank you all very much. Please have trust in our Councilman Melick and I and our ambulance corps, and Mike McNamee has been a tremendous leader in that discussion as well. We're working very hard, diligently. We get on each other's nerves sometimes, but it's all for the betterment of our community. And I've really been enjoying working with that group. So we're going to come to a solution. We're working on it. We have, and Sherry, thank you for your commitment. You've been on every meeting. Thank you. All right, we have several motions that we need to make. The first one we're going to hold off on because that's going to be an executive session item. The second one is a resolution to authorize budget transfer. Now, you had a newer version that was sent to your email. Hopefully you all have received that. It's much more detailed. The first resolution that was sent in the group of the emails was missing some information. So if you guys have had time to take a look at that, I'd ask Bernard if you have a second to just explain it to the board real quick. Hey, Bernard.
Hey, how are you?
Excellent.
Can you hear? Okay. Basically, the budget transfers, we completed all the outstanding issues that we've had. Now we're at the point of closing out 2019. We need to get these budget transfers approved. It's all set up within your fund. In the A funds, we were able to have some contingency funds that was left over. And basically that covered the majority of it. You'll see each one of the funds have a credit that all came out of the same fund, where there may have been some overlap where we had credits in some areas and we needed to use some funds that came out of that credit that was left over and had to cover some expenditures that came out of the other lines. One of the things that I would recommend that we're looking forward to is that we're staying on top of the monthly budgeting, that everybody's expense that they can see on a monthly basis, so we can stay within the guidelines of what was granted for 2020. So this way we will not have to deal with budget transfers moving forward. I have spoken to all the department managers and they are reviewing their expenses and throughout on a monthly basis now. So these budget transfers will close out 2019. And I've already allocated. If you have them in front of you, please review them if you have any particular questions. Kristen actually came into the office today and her and I went over all of this. She got to see a good picture of how it all worked and how it looked and where we got the funds from. I showed it to her for each cost line. And I think it was self-explanatory when she looked at it. So if anybody have any questions about it, I'm in the office with Brian pretty much every day, and I'll be happy to meet with you from a distance and go over any one of those line items that you want to discuss about.
Bernard, Bernard, I just want to say thank you. I did review it. I think you're very detailed and it is very self-explanatory. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments for Bernard? Questions? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve a resolution of the town board of the town of Montgomery authorizing the transfer of funds as indicated attached?
Do we say it's to close 2019 in that motion?
It is hereby resolved that the town board hereby authorizes and directs the town budget office or his designee to transfer funds for 2019. We can certainly put that in the motion.
It's in
I'll
the-
make that motion.
Yeah.
I'll
That-
I'll second it.
That language is in the resolution, Councilwoman Boss.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Resolution to authorize supervisor to sign Town of New Windsor IT contract. I did speak with our current IT company, let them know of the decision that the board was considering this evening. They were very graceful, very appreciative of the work that's been done, and very much interested and willing to work with in a transition New Windsor. For those of you that maybe are new, New Windsor is the IT firm that we used prior to Mazzaro, and also they were the IT firm that I used when I was mayor in Walden. So there's a level of comfortability. All of our department heads also have that level of comfortability. So I don't want to make this too much about our current IT company, as much as there's a level of comfortability and appreciation for who the town previously used and a willingness of them to have us back. So if everyone has taken a look at the contract, we just ask for a motion to approve. But anyone have any comments first?
Brian, can I just make one comment that this is for the town office side of the building, that the police are going to continue using the MCS, the Nix product, Nix company?
Absolutely,
I
that's
think
100% correct.
The police are very happy with what he's done for them over there, and they've worked really well together, so they will remain on the police side.
That is correct. I've spoken with the chief and his department, and that is correct. And I think from the town standpoint, we're just looking to go in a different direction with a firm that is specific to municipalities, and that is what we have here with the New Windsor IT.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Can I just
Okay.
have a quick question?
Go ahead, Kristen.
Cindy, I know you do a lot of IT and I tend to defer to you. Are you okay with this? I mean, obviously you either motioned or seconded. Have you been involved in this?
Yes, I talked to Brian quite detailed about it, and I talked to the police side, Butch and Steve Ragney, who have been handling the changeover on that side. I worked very closely with New Windsor for many, many years. I'm very happy that they're willing to take us back. They did a great job for us in the past. And I don't think it's wrong to have two separate companies involved. It's just a nice crossover, and, it's just dualness. We have two companies that we can turn to if we need to.
Thank you.
All right. So the motion was made and seconded. This is a motion to approve the resolution of the town board of the town of Montgomery authorizing the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Windsor for information technology services. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, this next one, we got a little creative. So the town of Montgomery Police Department had two of our police officers test positive for COVID-19. When we found out, we immediately had the police department disinfected. The police vehicles for those police officers were disinfected. And while reviewing the current state health guidelines for first responders, as per the governor's executive orders, we came to the realization that they were not allowed to, but must come back to work after 7 days without needing a negative test to ensure that they were not COVID-19 positive. With some discussions, we did not feel that was acceptable. So we worked with our labor attorney and the police chief and the police union. And we also worked with staff here at the town of Montgomery to come up with our own policy to protect our first responders. And what this will do is pretty much, in a nutshell, they will not be able to come back to work without a negative test result. And we've also been able to team up with a company, a healthcare provider, that will allow us to do that very, very quickly, access to those tests for first responders. It's a company that has a bid with the county that's specific for first responders. So if there's any questions out there on will we have access to the tests, absolutely we will. The idea is to ensure that right now, as it stands, if a police officer was positive for COVID-19, they would have to come back to work in 7 days, or they would have to forfeit some of their accrued sick time or leave. And we just didn't think that was fair to our employees. And we certainly didn't want to rush back someone who we believed could be COVID-19 positive, even if they weren't showing symptoms, and put other officers at risk and our community at risk. So this is a really important policy. I don't know that other municipalities are getting ahead of it like this, but it does have the support of our PBA, and just wanted to get your thoughts on it before we make a motion.
I totally agree with that, Brian, because I saw people that were even over 14 days were still showing positive.
Yep.
You know, so I totally agree with that. We don't want to compromise anybody else.
Yeah, I agree with it too, Brian. Did you get a price for them to do the retest for this particular company?
That's a good question. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't think there's a price tag associated with it. Oh, no,
If
no.
there is-
Yeah, there's not a
If there
price tag
is
associated with it.
if
They're
there
actually
is
they're actually going to go through their own insurance.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
we're going to be completely out of it. All we're going to do is basically give them the information for them to go through their insurance and provide them the opportunity for the testing, but they're actually going to go through their own insurance. That's how we drafted this.
Okay. Because there's a story that's going around a couple of days ago. I saw in news there was $1,000. A woman got a bill for $1,085 to get tested. So
Well,
obviously that's not acceptable.
No, it's not. So they're police officers at the town of Montgomery. They have insurance, and they're going to go through
Good.
their
Okay, that's great.
and we're just going to be able to track that they actually did follow up because we have the agreement from an administrative standpoint with the healthcare provider. So we'll be able to make sure that they do call, and that would be the protection from the town standpoint. So we didn't have someone just kind of sitting at home and we don't know what's going on. We do have a mechanism in place, at least through connecting them with this healthcare provider, where we can ensure that they're making the call. Not that they wouldn't.
Correct. That's not, we don't think for a second that our officers don't want to get back as soon as they can.
Correct. Built-in protection, but we have the best of the best, so we don't have to worry.
Can I get them to retest me?
he might be tested for that plasma, right? To see if he's got the antibodies. You can share with all of
No.
us.
Sorry, can't do that. I'm on blood thinners. My wife is doing that though. She's that's her big thing now. She wants to get her plasma out to everybody.
Wow.
That's good.
But we have to get retested and come up negative.
Well, thank goodness
So-
you're both feeling better.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Brian, I
Appreciate
think this is really a good way of protecting our employees. And if the police, the PBA is behind it, I'll make the motion that we approve it.
Okay, the motion is made to adopt the resolution of the town board of the town of Montgomery adopting a COVID-19 policy with respect to essential personnel. Would anyone like to second that motion?
I'll second that, Brian.
Seconded by Councilman Voss. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Thank you, guys. That's big. I think it will send a message to our police department, letting them know we have their backs and are here to protect them. Okay. The next two, we have motion of accepting the resignation of town highway employee Mark Williams. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
That we accept it with regrets.
Absolutely.
Lots of regrets. Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Motion to accept resignation of Montgomery Police Officer Dan Van Dijk.
Again, with regrets. Yes.
Motion made by Ron Feller, seconded by
I'll second it. I'll
Okay,
second it, Brian.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the audit number 5 of 2020 in the amount of $472,557.51?
I'll make that
Make that
motion.
motion. We'll all make that motion. There
Take
we
your
go.
pick.
I'm gonna pick Deputy Supervisor Ron Feller to make that motion. Who would like to second it?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilwoman Kristen Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Okay, good of the order. We'll start with,
Hey, time out, Mr. Supervisor. You wanted me to remind you of the request that Sean had with regard to the surplus property? Those
I
two-
did. I thought we didn't need to do that. We need to do that?
There were two items. Let me just get the board up to speed. Back in February, a resolution was passed declaring surplus property from DPW and the Highway Department. And a minimum bid price was selected for each of the items. The items went on auction and everything got the minimum bid price except two things. They are as follows. Wait for it. The Buffalo Spring Field Roller, we had a minimum price of $2,000 and the highest bid was $910. Now, Sean put that price on it. If it had been scrapped for scrap metal, we would have gotten $2,000 at the time the resolution was passed. Since then, with the economy being what it is, the scrap metal market has tanked like everything else. Sean advises that the town would only get $600 for it if it was scrapped right now. So he wants to take the $910. And also there was the reed trapping and drilling kit that the estimated minimum bid was $1,500 for the auction, and the high bid was $960. Sean advises in his email today that based on the fact that it's 20 years old, he thinks the $960 is okay. We don't have to do anything with the other property because the minimum bids were hit. So Sean is requesting that the board pass a motion authorizing the sale of the Buffalo Springfield Roller for $910 and the reed drilling kit for $960.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Thank you, Will.
Okay, thank you. And Sean,
Good.
Sean, thanks.
Good of the order. Councilwoman Melick.
Yes. No, I think you're doing a great job. I watch you every morning.
Thanks, Sherry. Councilman Brown.
Yeah, I just have a question on what is the status on filling the two boards? I know we were discussing them before all this hit and before we actually went virtual. So there was a few boards that we didn't actually get to finish filling. So specifically the planning board, I know we were looking at doing interviews and the ethics board. What's the status on moving forward with those?
It's up to us. So if we feel, I know specifically for the ethics, we have some directives that I think will be ready by the next meeting. And two of those other boards, I think that will be good. We've had our internal discussions in executive. So I just have to present that to you. That should be ready by the May 7th meeting, or I think ethics board and maybe one of the other ones. But for the planning board, we would have to make a decision on the interview process if we felt comfortable with the planning board interviews to do via Zoom, or if we wanted to hold off and wait until we had an opportunity to perform interviews in person. In terms of the planning board, I think we know many of the applicants, so it's one where I would probably feel a little more comfortable performing those via Zoom, but that's up to this board if we wanted to move forward and conduct a special meeting to try to fill those vacancies or reappointments.
It's just tough because they're at an even number. So they could actually have a stale vote if 3 vote for it, 3 vote against it. So it just leaves them in a bad position.
Sure. I'm willing to do it if you guys want to go forward with at least the planning board appointment, doing interviews. The other boards, we had enough of an internal discussion where I think we'll be ready to make appointments at the next meeting, May 7th. But for the planning board, if you guys are comfortable, we can set a date and do some interviews.
I'm good with that. If anybody else has any comments.
What I'll do is we'll have a special meeting next week. At that meeting, we can also set a date for the interviews to be conducted in executive session. From now till then, I'll just get some feedback, see what date works for everybody. And that meeting next week, we can set a date at that meeting as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Business must go on. All right. Councilwoman Voss, anything for good of the order?
Brian, I just want to compliment you. I've heard so much talk out in the community. What an awesome job you are of leading this town through this pandemic. You've done an amazing job, from raising money to helping everyone you could everywhere. And I just want to congratulate you and tell you I've heard nothing but praise.
Thank you, Cindy. We're a team. I appreciate everything that you guys have done. Those in the community don't know, a lot of the board members do things behind the scenes. You don't hear about them. I ask them for something, they're right there. So certainly appreciate you guys being supportive of some of the things that I'm doing and taking part. I know obviously Kristen as well has been very active in volunteering, but each of you have come to me and have helped in different ways. And I really appreciate that and the support. Deputy Supervisor Ron Feller, do you have anything for good of the order?
A couple of things. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for their good wishes and their thoughts and concerns for my wife and myself when we were both tested positive. So it is very much appreciated, believe it, in having people reaching out and offering their assistance and asking if there's anything they can do to help. So we do appreciate it very much. And I actually miss working with you guys. The second thing was, we don't have any employee of the month, but just on the good of the order, we had 2 Valley Central High School girls make all section County 9 district section 9. Shayna Cooney was 3rd team basketball, and my granddaughter Madeline Feller was 2nd team basketball. It was for the entire section 9. So I'm really proud of those 2 girls. I'm proud of the whole team, but just thank you again for all your support.
Thank you, Ron, and we're very proud of the girls as well. And we hope they have a season next season. We hope they have a lot of success. And in light of that, we also feel for the spring sports that have been canceled to date. And
yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything else for good of the order from all of you?
Yeah, one quick thing.
Will, I didn't say you could participate in good of the order. This is for I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, say good night. Everybody be well. All right. Just picking up on, I was rambling a little bit last week about people trying to scam our residents. And now that these stimulus checks are supposedly going out, maybe some people have gotten them from the federal government, please, anyone who's listening, the IRS is not going to call your house and ask for your bank account number if they don't have it, okay, for direct deposit. If they don't have your account number, they will mail you a check. So please, anyone who calls up asking for your bank account saying they're from the federal government, please hang up on them. That was it.
Thank you, Will. We appreciate that PSA. And I just want to say it's been an honor serving as supervisor, and I've really tried to work hard to work with everybody and those in the community to help as many people and our businesses as possible. And it's been a real honor working with all of our community leaders. They do tremendous work, and it's been an unbelievable education to just find out how many people are doing amazing work for our community. So that's been a real treasure of mine to be able to work with some amazing people. We are going to make a motion now to go into executive session to discuss personnel, particular personnel, and a tax cert issue. And what else, Will?
It's just with respect to the tax cert issue, to discuss pending litigation and the disposition of the litigation with the tax sword case.
Okay, would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Seven-
Any abstentions? We will be taking action after the executive session, so that is something I will say. But we will now go into executive session, and we will wait for Billy to give us the go-ahead that we are good. Everybody stay on the Zoom. All right, everybody, we're back. We've exited executive session. We're going to take a minute to make our motion. Just going to wait till we have our, she's not in. All right, wait, our town clerk. Yeah. No. Still waiting on our town clerk to get back in.
He's texting me. Hold on. I can't. I was removed by the host.
Yep. So, all right, we're gonna have to call her in. What's her number? Actually, no, we're live. So let me not do that. I'll call her. Hold on one second.
I'll tell her Brian's calling her.
Yep. Let her know I'm gonna call her from my work phone.
Hello?
Hey, Tara, sorry about that. You're on.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to make a motion. Will, do you mind repeating that motion for
Greatest
approval?
pleasure. Okay, we have a motion to approve the Northern Enterprises NY LLC tax certiorari settlement pursuant to the memorandum recommending settlement forwarded to the board by our tax certiorari special counsel in February of this year. The settlement is at the recommendation of council with the approval of our town assessor. And the motion is to approve the settlement and also to authorize the supervisor or his designee to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the settlement terms.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilman Melick. Does anyone like to second it?
Second it.
Seconded by Deputy Supervisor Ron Feller. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Wait a minute.
Oh, hold on. What's going on?
How did you come out of executive session and at what time?
We came out of executive session at
8:14.
No, I want to say it was 8:11 because it took a few minutes. It was 8:11, Billy. 8:11. We came out of executive session, Tara.
Okay, who made the motion and who seconded it?
The motion was made by.
By Kristen and seconded by Cindy.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Wait,
I'll make that motion.
Hold on.
I'll
Now we
second
can
it.
go.
hold
Go
it.
ahead, Will.
Do you want to set the special meeting for next weekend or do you want to wait?
No, we can set it. The hearing's closed on Wednesday at noon, so we can set the special meeting for Thursday, April 23rd. We could do it whatever time is convenient for everybody. I'm okay doing it during the day if you want. It's up to you guys.
I just,
The
on
daytime's good for
Thursday,
me.
What?
Thursday I help out at the school, so it can't be, has to be after 12:30, probably after 1 o'clock by the time that I get home and.
How about
Yeah.
4 o'clock?
Okay.
4 o'clock.
Oh,
So, would
23rd, 4 o'clock.
anyone like to make a motion to call a special meeting of the board for the purpose of discussing our moratorium law? Any other bit? Go
And
ahead.
it's gonna-
Go ahead, Will.
It's going to be
Hey,
on
when
Zoom.
when we were talking about this during the meeting, didn't we say a special? Did I write down
Yeah,
the
I
wrong
thought
thing?
we-
I wrote
we
6
said-
o'clock.
Well,
That's
on
a
the
different
28th,
one.
on
That's
the
a different-
28th. at
Continuation
6
of the
o'clock.
public hearing.
Yeah, Will, go ahead and go with the motion of this specific special meeting for the purpose of acting on the moratorium law.
For motion for a special meeting on Thursday, April 23rd. What time?
4 p.m.
Okay, I got you.
April
I
23rd.
usually napping around 4.
Sorry.
at
The
4
28th was for Medline. I got it. 6 o'clock.
Medline, right.
There we go.
at 6 o'clock. This one will be special meeting either by phone conference or Zoom, depending upon what the supervisor sets up, 4 p.m. on the 23rd of April, to consider whether or not to adopt the warehouse and distribution center moratorium and any other business that comes before the town board.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Melick, seconded by Councilman Voss. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Am I allowed to call for a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. Good night,
Have a
everybody.
good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you.
Here.
Good night.